Let's take a look at how we can use the graph view to gain more insight into the software that we are using and its known vulnerabilities. In our inventory on the left-hand side right now, we have selected two operating systems, Microsoft Windows 10 and Red Hat Enterprise Linux. We have selected a time range of 6 months at the top here, and we can see that for Windows 10 we have 304 published vulnerabilities for this time frame alone. If we select Windows 10 from the summary table, we can access the full list with all details for these vulnerabilities. We can now switch to the graph view. The graph view gives us an opportunity to get a quick overview of the vulnerability situation for a product at a glance. Fanning out from the product itself, Microsoft Windows 10, we can determine how many vulnerabilities of varying criticality there are. For instance, we can see that we have 22 critical vulnerabilities, all of which are displayed right here. If we select one of these vulnerabilities, the corresponding details will be loaded on the left-hand side, where we can examine them or follow the links to gain more insight about the details. If we take a look at the vulnerabilities, we notice that some of them are displayed as triangles. This means that there is a known exploit for this vulnerability. This is relevant because even a vulnerability of low severity with a known exploit might be more dangerous than a theoretically more severe weakness for which no actual exploits are known to attackers yet. Since this situation can change at any time, we should definitely use the notification feature, enabled here, to get alerts as soon as any additional exploit becomes available. As you can see, we can zoom in and out in the graph view. We can drag it around. We can move individual nodes or parts if we want to change the layout. Even more, we can see which other products can be affected if they are used in a configuration together with the vulnerable product. For instance, we can see that some of these Microsoft Windows 10 vulnerabilities will also affect Microsoft Windows 8 or Windows Server 2019. If we want to add one of these affected products to our inventory, we can just click on it and it will immediately be added, as you can see here on the left-hand side. From now on, it will be part of our inventory as well. We will see its current vulnerabilities and we will get email alerts as soon as any new exploits become known or if any mention of it being attacked should appear in the news. Looking at the product graph, we can see that some of these Windows vulnerabilities seem to also affect Red Hat Enterprise Linux. What we can deduce from this is that, apparently, there's a vulnerability that affects Windows as well as Linux systems. We get a hint that it might have something to do with the grub bootloader from this node right here. So, if we go back to our inventory and select the vulnerabilities for the grub bootloader, we notice this one, which even has a known exploit. And if we scroll down to the list of vulnerable products, you can see that this vulnerability does indeed affect Linux systems from different vendors, as well as Microsoft Windows. If we want to find out why this is the case, we can learn more about it by reading the summary or by going to the exploit warning and reading up on the original source article. In this case, we are looking at the famous boot hole vulnerability, which affects the UEFI secure boot mechanism and does indeed affect both Windows and Linux systems. In our next video, we will take a closer look at the CVE details view to see how we can use it to learn everything of relevance about a particular vulnerability and how it can even help us to determine a workaround for 0 days and other vulnerabilities that we might not be able to fix with a simple software update. You will find the link to that next video in the video description below. Thank you for watching and see you next time.